Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. As the holiday season rolls in, we're all surrounded by twinkling lights, cheerful carols, and the smell of gingerbread. Christmas is supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year, right? A time for family, giving, and joy. But what if I told you that lurking behind our most cherished traditions are stories that are anything but merry and bright? Today, we're unwrapping the tinsel to reveal the dark, strange, and sometimes terrifying origins of Christmas as we know it. So, grab a cup of hot cocoa, get cozy, and prepare to see the holidays in a whole new light. This is the dark side of Christmas traditions. Let's start with the big guy himself, Santa Claus. The jolly, white-bearded figure who brings gifts to good children is based on Saint Nicholas, a kind-hearted bishop from the 4th century. But his modern-day companions haven't always been so friendly. In many parts of Europe, especially in alpine regions, Saint Nicholas doesn't travel with cute little elves. Instead, his sidekick is a terrifying, horned creature known as Krampus. Picture this: a half-goat, half-demon figure with a long, pointed tongue, sharp fangs, and a bundle of birch branches. While Saint Nicholas rewards the well-behaved kids, Krampus is there to deal with the naughty ones. His job is to punish them, sometimes by swatting them with his branches, and in the darkest tailies, by stuffing them into a sack and dragging them away to his lair. The night of December 5th, known as Krampusnacht, or Krampus Night, is when he roams the streets, often accompanied by people in terrifying costumes, creating a scene straight out of a horror movie. So, while you're leaving out milk and cookies, some kids are just hoping to avoid being kidnapped by a Christmas demon. Makes you appreciate that lump of coal, doesn't it? And Krampus isn't the only spooky character in Christmas folklore. In Iceland, you have to watch out for the Yule Cat, or Jólakturinn. This isn't your average fluffy feline purring by the fireplace. The Yule Cat is a monstrous, house-sized beast that prowls the snowy countryside on Christmas Eve. But it isn't interested in naughty or nice kids. No, this giant cat is looking for people who didn't receive any new clothes to wear for Christmas. According to the legend, if you don't have at least one new item of clothing, the Yule Cat will devour you. This tradition likely started as a way for farm owners to scare their workers into finishing the autumn wool processing before Christmas. Those who worked hard got new clothes as a reward, and those who slacked off, well, they became cat food. It's a pretty intense motivator for finishing your chores. Next up, let's talk about going door to door. Singing festive songs seems like a wholesome and heartwarming activity, but its origins are rooted in something much less polite: wassailing. Wassailing was a medieval English tradition where peasants would go to the homes of their wealthy lords and essentially demand food, drink, and money in exchange for singing and offering good wishes. The word wassail comes from an Old English phrase meaning be in good health. It sounds nice, but there was an underlying threat. If the lord of the manor was stingy, the songs could turn into thinly veiled curses, and the cheerful crowd might get a bit rowdy, even vandalizing property. It was less about spreading cheer and more about a social shakedown. Think of it as a form of holiday trick-or-treating, but with a much more intimidating edge. Even the beautiful decorations we put up have some grim history. Take mistletoe, the plant we hang in doorways, for a festive kiss. In ancient Norse mythology, mistletoe played a much more sinister role. The story goes that the god Baldur, son of Odin and Frigg, had a dream foretelling his own death. His mother, Frigg, made everything in creation, plants, animals, elements, swear an oath not to harm him. Everything, that is, except for the humble mistletoe, which she thought was too young and harmless to bother with. The trickster god, Loki, discovered this one weakness. He fashioned a spear or arrow from mistletoe and tricked Baldur's blind brother Hchar into throwing it at him. The mistletoe pierced Baldur, killing him instantly and plunging the world into darkness and mourning. So, that romantic plant you're puckering up under, it's the mythological murder weapon that killed the god. A little less romantic now, huh? And what about the Christmas tree? A beautifully decorated fir or spruce is the centerpiece of most homes during the holiday. This tradition is often linked to pagan rituals celebrating the winter solstice. Ancient cultures, like the Egyptians, Romans, and Druids, used evergreens to symbolize life and rebirth in the dead of winter. They believed these plants had magical powers to ward off evil spirits, witches, and illness. When Christians adopted the tradition, one popular legend tells of Saint Boniface, an English missionary in 8th century Germany. He supposedly chopped down a sacred oak tree, dedicated to the god Thor, to show the pagans that their gods were powerless. In its place, a small fir tree miraculously grew, which Boniface declared a symbol of Christ's eternal life. So, your Christmas tree is either a pagan charm against evil or a symbol of one religion's triumph over another, depending on which story you prefer. Even a beloved Christmas song like Silent Night has a slightly dark backstory, though this one is more about desperation than demons. The song was first performed on Christmas Eve in 1818 in a small Austrian village. The legend says the church's organ was broken, possibly because mice had chewed through the bellows. Faced with the prospect of a silent midnight mass, the assistant priest, Joseph Moore, remembered a poem he had written a few years earlier. He rushed it to the church organist, Franz Gruber, who quickly composed a simple melody for it that could be played on a guitar. The result was Stille Nacht, or Silent Night. It's a beautiful story of creativity under pressure, but it was born from a moment of crisis and the potential for a ruined Christmas service. Let's not forget about our holiday feasts. Why do we eat things like mince pies? Today, they're sweet treats filled with fruit and spices. But originally, they were filled with actual minced meat, usually mutton or beef, mixed with suet, fruits, and spices like cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg. These spices were symbolic of the gifts brought by the 3 wise men. The pies were often made in an oval shape to represent the manger where Jesus lay, and a little pastry baby Jesus was sometimes placed on top. During the English Civil War in the 17th century, Oliver Cromwell and the Puritans banned Christmas celebrations, seeing them as decadent and pagan. Mince pies were specifically outlawed, and eating them was seen as an act of illegal festive rebellion. Imagine getting arrested for eating a pie. So, as you can see, behind the festive facade of Christmas, there are layers of history filled with demons, monsters, mythological murders, and social unrest. These ancient stories and beliefs have been sanitized and commercialized over the centuries, transformed into the family-friendly traditions we know today. But their dark origins are a fascinating reminder that human celebrations have always been a complex mix of light and shadow, joy and fear, generosity and threat. It shows how our ancestors tried to make sense of the world, especially during the longest, darkest nights of the year. Knowing these stories doesn't have to ruin your holiday spirit. In fact, I think it makes Christmas even more interesting. It connects us to a long, strange, and very human history. So this year, when you're hanging your mistletoe, decorating your tree, or singing carols, you can share these wild stories and add a little bit of spooky spice to your holiday cheer. What do you think? Do you know of any other dark Christmas traditions? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this dive into the dark side of the holidays, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more strange histories. Have a very merry, and maybe slightly spooky, Christmas. See you next time.